Yep.
Okay. Well, Amy, I'd like to congratulate you on getting Stigma! Phew! You can breathe, a sigh of relief. Yes, you're good. You're good. Yes, excellent. All right, so we're going to give you some warm, cool feedback. Mr. Bragdon, would you like to start?
I would love to start.
Okay.
I thought you were very clear on your explanations because you had a lot of terms that needed those explanations, and I thought you came through very clear with those. You did very good research on this. And this slides in as the only cool feedback, and I'm going to go to your paper, and because I had when I read your paper, it was wonderful, but from your research, it was a very, very deep topic. It's a heavy-duty topic. You tackled it. I mean, you went right for the big boy on that one. You went for it. That was great. And I was wondering, how is this going to translate into a presentation? And the cool part is that it's so big, sometimes a presentation with restrictions makes it very difficult. But I thought you handled that very well. So therefore, I'm going to say, I'm going to finish it up here with a positive. It was a well-organized presentation. You were able to take a very well thought out research paper and put it into a presentation. So congratulations.
Okay. I loved your connection with why it's an interest and passion for you and how it's going to connect with the future for you. I thought your explanations and examples were so thoughtful and well developed and researched and just so clear. It was almost a history class, but also an economics course to me, where I felt like I was hearing so many things about economics, but things that I hear in college, not economics here. But I thought it was astounding that way. And then your research was so in depth, and it just showed your breadth of knowledge on this topic, and that impressed me. I kind of wanted the presentation to be on one country at times, so you could really dig so deep. I felt like this could have been many senior projects rather than one senior project. So that to me was the positive, that you were able to do it in such an incredible way, but also the negative, because I wanted more on some of them. So that was wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on your panel and being a part of your life these past 4 years.
I thought that you explained everything in your presentation really well, and you related it back to your topic really well. And I also like the fact that you had all these different countries, but they didn't feel like a bunch of different presentations. It transitioned well, and it fit really well together. And I didn't really have any cool feedback.
All right. I'll start with my cool and then with my warm. There was a couple times that there were some generalizations that you made, but I think, like Madam Osborne said, you almost had to, given the scope of your presentation. So, for example, at one point you're so as you use the example of Chile and Colombia, their economic strife, to kind of relate that back to the entire region, and I was like, well, does 2 examples of countries make it enough to say that the entire continent is, or area is unstable? So that was a tiny thing. And then I wanted you to take a drink of water. I was like, just take a drink, Amy.
I almost did this, but I didn't want you to think that I was saying something else.
I was thinking about it. I was looking at it. And I'm like, yes, no,
right,
yes. Go for it.
Right, yeah. It's I've had this happen to so many senior projects because you don't want to interrupt the flow, and for you it seems like 5 minutes that you've taken out of your project, but for us it's just like, help yourself. Here I go. Here it is. Take a drink. Yes. And then there was a couple questions in the Q&A I would have liked you to elaborate on, and I think I chalked that up to nerves. You were so polished in your actual presentation that when you got off book at the end, it was almost like you were like, thank God I'm done, and your mind almost shut off. It's maybe because I knew that I know that you know the answer to Madam Osborne's question. I know that we've talked a little bit about So I guess the only lesson I'd have is, just relax into the Q&A and start talking, and then maybe something will come to you.
Yeah, even
It's
say,
kinda like
you
a
know,
fake
in
it till you make it
the
thing.
current situation, there isn't so much right now that I can say about, but I can definitely refer back to this, and that way, rather than you saying I don't know, which you do know, and we know you know, to be able to answer that question or kind of like fluff over the original.
Right.
You trying to Dylan to be a politician?
Work the system.
Holy cow.
Right, fake it till you make it. Like I don't know much about South America, but I know that Colombia is very unstable currently, and all the discussions about having the Olympics, we're in, what is it,
Brazil.
Rio? Yeah, in Brazil. There's a lot of controversy about that because of the crime, and that would have been something to talk about. But lots of good things, obviously. I thought that this was the best that you've ever done. And, having done the 2 practices, sometimes students get more nervous in their actual senior project, and it's not the best reflection of what they've done, but this today was a true reflection of your ability and your capability, and I think that that's reason to celebrate. You did so well connecting everything back to your central question.
Good.
And it didn't sound repetitive at all. It was like, yes, that's the warrant, that's the reasoning, that's the home run, that shows your thinking. That helps us be able to relax into the presentation, because it's almost like we don't have to do the thinking. You've done the thinking, and you're telling us what thinking you've done. So very, really good. And I love it when students say things like, basically what this means is, like, they'll read a quote and then they'll explain it for us instead of having to let us figure out why they put the quote up there. And then your confidence was just so amazing. Even though you've got the nerves and the butterflies, I think you hit your stride, like a quarter of the way in, and it was almost like watching like a college professor up there. You're just so cool, calm, and collected, and it's really refreshing. And I think you should be really proud of yourself.
Maybe that's the teacher thing, maybe not the little kids, but in college.
We'll see. Yeah, you'll see. Yes. So I think you should be very proud of yourself, Amy. And it really, truly was like a capstone senior celebration. So. Here. Tug it out. Yeah. You're done.